Okay, well,
Okay, so we're recording. This is our very first. What are we calling it?
Circuit Riders.
Circuit Riders. I'm
Is it
Andrew,
I'm Keith.
and we usually go riding and talk about nerdy things like synthesizers and ham radio and electronics. So we thought we would share some of what we're talking about with YouTube. So where are we going?
I don't know. And is this episode 1,
This
or
is
should we start at episode 0?
This is episode 0 for sure. Because we don't know what we're doing.
You.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get out of here.
So since this is nerdy, I'll talk about my microphone.
Okay, and I'll talk about my microphone too, but I need some sunshade, so just hang on a second here. Ooh. Okay,
So,
we're going to turn right because it looks like that's all jammed.
Wow, the city is totally clogged today with traffic, so we're going to try to zigzag out of it. So I cannibalized an MFJ hand mic that had a connector on it that was made for an old ICOM 2-meter HT.
Okay.
But because my 1980s vintage ICOM 2-meter HT is dead, I decided to use the electrolytic the microphone element in the hand mic. And it seems to work very well, actually. I just literally wired it to a cable, plugged it into the camera, and away we go.
Cool. Oh, okay, don't turn here there, buddy. Yeah, so my mic is actually from my junk bin, literally. I was sure I had an Electret capsule somewhere, and I found one. I think it was from a telephone or something that I ripped apart at some time in the long distant past, and I soldered it on the wires, just a 3.5 millimeter patch cord that I had. It's a bit too long, so it's wrapped around the camera. Oh, we're both using the Drift Ghost S cameras, by the way, and so far so good. So my mic, I notice I get a little bit of clipping when I talk loudly, even with the mic sensitivity all the way down. So I don't know if that's the capsule overloading or whether that's just the input can't handle any more voltage.
One thing I noticed when I took apart my MFJ hand mic, they had a 1 nanofarad capacitor and a 2.2 K resistor in parallel, and it seemed, boy, I should have really just whipped out the calculator and figured out what type of filter that is, but it seems to lower the sensitivity of the mic. It's probably some type of a notch filter.
I think I might need to figure out some sort of an attenuator for mine, or just buy a bunch of different capsules in my next DigiKey order and see what happens. So where do you want to go? Do you want to turn left? That's going to be jammed. Everything's going to be jammed. Might as well go on Dundas. So we're in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, by the way, if anyone doesn't realize that already. There's been no shots of the CN Tower, so that's the only iconic building in Toronto, really.
It will happen.
It will happen. And unfortunately, our major downtown freeway that goes east and west is closed due to spring maintenance, I think? Isn't that what it is today?
Yes, it is.
So that's usually in the spring and the fall. Usually there's one weekend where each of our major roads is closed, and that's so that they can fill the potholes because we have winter here and everything gets destroyed. So unfortunately that makes the entire city clogged because we don't really have any other main thoroughfares.
I have something else to talk about, nerdy-wise. I recently got my edition of, third edition of Art of Electronics from Amazon.
Hooray!
Hooray! Finally came. I've literally been waiting for it for, more than a decade.
How long did it, was it just out and then you ordered it, or did you have to pre-order?
I was on the pre-order, but way back, even like in the mid-2000s, like sometime maybe 2004, there was an ISBN, the book
Okay.
number, was released for it. So
Oh, and everyone was anticipating it.
everybody got all excited, and then that really didn't do anything. But short answer of should I buy it is yes.
Yes.
Even if you have the second edition,
I have the second edition.
it's really worth it. What they did was they took out most of the obsolete stuff. Like, for example, the entire section on developing for CPUs, like the Motorola 68000s and all that. That's been totally ripped out, and they completely rewrote it. It's now all about firmware and microcontrollers. And it is a reference book, but the way you use it is more like socially, if I can explain it. Like, what you do is when you need some sage advice from a graybeard, you would open up The Art of Electronics.
And you know that there's a wizard living in there.
There is a wizard. There are two wizards inside,
Two wizards inside Horowitz and Hill.
Yes.
And they're ready to tell you all their secrets.
And they do. And the
Only
new,
electronic secrets, by the way. No, nothing dirty in there.
The new, the format, it's physically bigger. Not too much bigger, but bigger. And there are way more diagrams. A lot of oscilloscope trace shots of test points on typical circuits. The photos are gorgeous. One good thing about the larger size is there's more space for explanation. Now and there's the humor is still prevalent.
Do you want to try going around this guy here? Yeah, let's see.
Oh, weird. Motorcycle traffic.
Yeah. Sorry, we may have to interrupt our currently scheduled program to figure out where we're going.
That's a streetcar, by the way.
Yes.
You haven't been to Toronto.
Yes.
It's electric.
It's electric. Hooray.
Hooray. And if
it's not called a tram or a trolley. So if you come to visit Toronto and you ask where the tram stop is, people will not know what you're talking about.
Yes.
We call it a streetcar. Which is
and
funny because all the other cars on the street are, I guess, streetcars too. But
yeah, and this would be a street bike.
Yes.
Anyway, back to the Horowitz and Hill. They have footnotes all over the place, and many of them are incredibly humorous. In fact, I started just flipping through the book, looking at the footnotes. For example, for the introduction, they.
Sorry, I was gonna wait for this guy here.
I'm going to kind of
maybe
sneak
I'm not.
by. In the introduction of the book, they talk about the cameras and equipment.
I'm behind you now.
Okay. The cameras and equipment that they were using to take the photos. And there was one kind of obscure piece of equipment, and the footnote just said, "Google it," which I thought was kind of funny. And there's other humor, like the oscilloscope appendix is Appendix O, which I find hilarious for some reason.
They have a dry, witty sense of humor. That's pretty. For sure. We should go out onto the right because you want me to block for you?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, here, go ahead.
Here's a
whoa,
technique.
That guy's just gonna go. All right,
he's just going.
All right. Well, sorry.
Yeah, and in one of the appendix is called equipment we like or equipment we need or something like that, and they list soldering stations, and the footnote for the Metcal soldering station is "It will change your life."
Yes.
And supposedly it will, but I don't own one. I'm a Weller man, I guess.
Yes, I have an Edson soldering station. That's been my go-to station
Similar
for 15 years.
Similar to the Harley versus Honda.
Yes, I have a Honda.
I have a Harley, but I'm good with Hondas as well.
Yes. Oh, so yeah, maybe we should talk about our bikes a little bit in the first episode and riding in general. Maybe I don't know. We want to cover all the topics.
Well, yeah, sure. Why not?
So part of what we want to do with this is to encourage more people to ride motorcycles because it's really awesome. And motorcycling and being a nerd kind of go hand in hand, I think, because it's really awesome and it's very technical, and you can sort of build your skills like you would with any other sort of technical thing that you might get into. I'm not that much into fixing bikes, but maybe someday when I have more time. What about you?
Well, I actually took a course, a one-semester course way back in the day when I first got my license. So I'll do minor stuff. I'm more interested in electronics. You only have so much time.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'll dive into small repairs. I'm on a Harley Davidson. I'm on a Heritage Classic, a Softail. And I actually used to ride a Honda Goldwing. And before that, I was on a Honda Shadow, a 750. So I prefer a bigger bike. I'm usually actually on an even bigger bike than this, an Ultra Classic Harley Davidson. But in the early part of the season here, I'm on the smaller bike.
Yeah, I'm on my CB500 FA, which is 2013. It's my very first bike, and I absolutely love it. It's 500 cc's, or it's more properly, it's like 478 or something like that. Anyway, it works great, gets me where I want to go, and is not enough bike that I have to pay crazy insurance premiums, but enough that I can easily go anywhere I want. But someday I will get a bigger bike. But for now, I'm quite happy with this.
An interesting thing happens on a motorcycle. If you've ever taken a long ride in a car with somebody, you just start chit-chatting and getting way deeper into conversations than you thought you would ever do. And one recent trend on motorcycles is Bluetooth headsets.
Yes.
And that totally revolutionizes the concept of riding with somebody, because up until recently, you basically had to use hand signals, and the limits of your conversations were things like, I have to take a pee, let's stop.
Yeah, or
I need gas. Or I'm tired.
Right.
So, or turn here. So, Andrew and I spent an entire season, slightly truncated, if you want to get into the details.
We went on a few rides, I think, without the headsets.
Yes.
And it was cool to be riding with someone else because I'd never done that before, but then it was kind of like I have to wave to say, hey, let's go to this Tim Hortons or something like that. But I think you lent me your headset, or your second headset, for one of the rides, and I was completely sold, and then went out and promptly bought my own Scala Rider G9 is the one I have.
I have the Q2.
Okay, so it's mine's a bit newer, but thankfully, due to the miracles of modern technology, they seem to talk together. And I think most headsets now are made to work on the same protocol. It's digital, it works pretty well, there's a little bit of latency, but it's totally as good as a cell phone, or probably better. And the audio quality is like, you know, it's telephone quality, but it is full duplex, which is awesome. I was expecting it wouldn't be, which means you can sort of interrupt each other and stuff like that, which works really well when you're sort of in the thick of things, like what we are right now.
Right. And there's another interesting thing. Well, we started having these conversations about electronics, synthesizers, the internet, you know, all those topics. So we decided, rather than waste the conversations, we would add camera systems, hence the Ghost S
Go ahead there,
cameras.
buddy. Go ahead.
He's a little nervous about going ahead of us. There we go.
Yep. You find if you let people in, I find they generally then let other people in, because they were happy that you were so nice to them.
I have a slightly aggressive guy behind me. But
yes, but you have to also be careful, because there's a lot of hesitation. Whenever someone sees a bike, I think they're afraid to go. Even though I'd rather perhaps have someone in front of me than behind me. Depends on who it is. What we were talking about last week is something like the more things you have dangling from your mirror, the more distance we want to stay away from you.
Yeah, one of my theories about cars is the more things you have dangling from your rearview mirror, the more dangerous you are. It's just, in my 20 years of motorcycle riding, every time I've been in an almost accident, I haven't had a real accident, it's usually with somebody whose car is already banged up or has an incredible amount of crap on their dashboard and hanging from their mirror.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I did a lot of reading when I've only been riding about a year, a little bit over a year, and I did a lot of reading and found people saying things like, if you want to park your bike safely, park in front of a really expensive car. so that those people are more likely to not want to scratch their car with your bike, or vice versa, you know.
Yeah.
And so far, it seems I haven't ever had that my bike knocked over by a car. But if I'm worried, I usually don't park on the street, even though it's free currently in Toronto. It's free to park on the street if you're a motorcycle.
Yes, as long as it's legal parking.
Yep. But often I just pay and go into a parking garage because I find it's a little less worry when I'm somewhere, trying to not worry about my bike being damaged.
Talking about all sorts of expensive dangly stuff. So one thing about bikes, current bikes, is all this great stuff, like having cameras and headsets. And I don't have it here because the Harley doesn't really allow it, but Andrew, if you look down a bit, has his phone, his smartphone.
Yes, I have an
mounted.
X-Grip from Ram. Ram mounts are awesome. I have the one that goes around the handlebars. There's a ball here. And then I have the X-Grip with the little extension arm. It works even at full speed on the highway, no problem. And I added a little USB charger, which is basically just a 5-volt DC-DC converter module that I had in my parts bins. And I just made it with the resistors that makes the phone know that it's got 1 amp of charging current. And then I just ran it to through a USB extension cable to my up through where the brake lines and the throttle cable goes. And it's great when I use the navigation. It lasts for hours and hours, and there's no problem. The screen stays on, which is really handy when you're going somewhere unusual, because you can't really, you know, mess with it. Not that you should anyway, even in a car, but you can't really mess with it at all when you're riding, because you've got your gloves on, and it doesn't really work the screen that well.
Later in the season, I'll get the Ultra Classic out, and if I pan down while I'm on that, you'll see the audio system and built-in CB radio and other stuff. So you're quite deep into motorcycle electronics, adding LED lights, all sorts of fun stuff. The never-ending nerd playground. It's not all crazy bikers.
Nope. It's there's a catalog. There's a company in the States I got a catalog from called Twisted Throttle, and I think they're one of the bigger dealers of motorcycle parts and accessories and things, mostly accessories. And they have a huge catalog. It's basically just like, you know, good bathroom reading or whatever. But they have this huge catalog, and it's amazing. You can easily spend as much on all the accessories as on a first bike. Just even like the luggage and all the add-on bits can add a huge amount. Do you want to go around this guy?
Sure, I got you. You're
Okay.
free. Go ahead.
So do you want to go up keel?
Yeah, I was wondering, do you want to... I'm going to break the fourth wall. If actually this entire vlog podcast is breaking the fourth wall. Do you want to pause until we get to a slightly more interesting...
Sure, yeah. Why don't we...
road?
So this will be episode 0, I guess. Maybe we wrap it up.
Sure.
We'll see if it's any good. If it's good, then you'll be seeing this on YouTube. If it's not good, then it will get deleted. Anyway, I'm going to stop my camera, and we'll pick up in some more interesting roads.
Okay.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.